Welcome to SENCo calendar for February. This month our theme is maintain, and now I'm considering that that's a very fitting theme yet again. Maintains brings to mind ideas of maintaining our sanity at the moment, but actually what I'm wanting to consider, the question that I'm wanting to consider today is, how do we maintain our practice for the children in teaching and learning, as well as outside of that in the running of our SENCo roles? How do we maintain it in the current circumstances? Now, my school, as I may have mentioned before, and the trust that I work for are based in East London. About 50 children in Kensington at the moment, 40, 50, depending on the day. And some of our other schools have up to 150. Now, that's a lot of children to maintain a level of education for them in school on site, and for then the rest remotely at home. It's a difficult balance. As a trust, we took a holistic approach with guidance for all of our schools, and then as individual schools, having very much in our trust an ethos of autonomy for individual schools, we've taken that plan and we've adapted it to our communities. We looked at the models that are already well established elsewhere in the world that work very well. The key example of which is Australia and the system that they have there for children who are in very remote parts of the country. But this is also a model that does happen here in the UK, in parts of this country. For instance, in remote islands, this happens. And we took that model and we took the good things that worked well from that model and we applied that to our guidance for schools, who then took that and adapted that to their own unique communities. We sent home before Christmas good quality textbooks. We also set up Google Classroom. I'm sure that's a strategy and a platform that has been used quite universally across the country. We set that up, made sure that we had identified the families who had issues with access. Also decided to do at least one daily, often 2 or 3 daily Zoom lessons. We have seen, once we've got a few weeks in, a lot of anxiety from parents, both in coping with keeping on top of everything, but also in the impact that they feel it might have on the children's longer term education. We've tried to keep in contact with parents regularly. Yes, you've got your daily Zoom and the children are there, and there's an online platform where questions can be asked by the children, but we've also made sure that we've got good communication around how we use phone calls, how we use our email accounts, how we send out information, so that not only is it not information overload from the parents' point of view, but also it's manageable from a staffing point of view. In terms of this blended learning approach, which seems to have been the model that has been preferred by most schools, it's got real advantages in that it's proven to be effective in the other countries and in these parts of our own country where that approach is used. It's got several different aspects to it. So some children are really benefiting from Zoom. We've got some children who struggle with concentration, who attention deficit may well be an issue, who in class are really struggling with that focus. In Zoom sessions are loving it because they're on their own or in a much more reduced arousal environment, and they can focus. Then there are other children who can't access the Zoom quite as well. Maybe very shy children, I think, have been struggling with that, but are accessing the online platform and the anonymity of that and the detachment of that actually coming out of themselves more in the interaction and the communication that's happening there. So, you know, it's the blended approach is actually really been successful. So we just carry on and we see how we go, and we try to do everything that comes up. Review meetings, which we'll go back to next month, parents' evenings, assessment. We try and adapt all of that to doing a remote version, and all of that takes a lot of mental energy. Yesterday we did for our pre-formal group, who I talked to you about before, we did our first assessment. We had been doing Zooms daily with them, and parents have been very involved. We've been following up daily calls for them to teach the parents how to essentially carry out what the TA would have carried out, or parts of it. So we needed actually them in the meeting to help us do the assessment, which was challenging because this is a complex conversation to be having with parents. Luckily, we have our assessment system for those children in place is MAP, and the way that we've done it with our support staff before is we've had the outcome from their learning plan, the outcome that we're basing our MAP assessment around. So say for communication, they've got an outcome, we'll assess around that, and another one for learning, and another, so on, so on. We said the outcome, maybe explained it a little bit, because some of them for parents are not that easy to understand. And then we just said, tell me what that's been like. Tell me what they've been like with their interaction with peers, well, that will be their siblings. And let the staff and the parents talk. And whilst they're talking, in the background, I was making some notes about where I thought they were in terms of the MAP assessment grid, whilst my colleague was facilitating that conversation, making sure it was staying on the point of the outcomes. And then right at the end, we did a little bit of moderation between him and me, just to check that we were in agreement about where we were grading that assessment, where we were scoring that assessment, and then moved on to the next outcome. So we'll see, as new things come up, we'll try and find ways to adapt, as we all are at the moment. Next month I'm going to come back to reviews. I've learned a lot, I think, from last term and the term before doing reviews remotely, and we have to, well, I'll talk to you about this next month, what we've decided to keep and what we've decided to tweak and what we've decided to get rid of. We'll go into a bit of detail around that in March. So in the meantime, keep in touch. See us on social media. Our YouTube channel, which we launched a few months ago, is doing very, very well. There's lots of advice on there, lots of videos to support home learning. Lots of videos that you can send the link to parents, showing them how to do things like colourful semantics, how to make moon sand, all those things that can be done at home by parents. Okay, see you next time. Bye.